Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss about the square roots of a negative number from the chapter for complex numbers and quadratic equations class 11 max. You see, we know that the square of I, which is I is a complex number, no? So I square, that is equal to minus 1. Okay, see, I square is equal to minus 1. So we can write, we are taking square root on both the sides. So square root of I square, that will be equal to square root of minus 1. Okay, square root of I square is actually I. So I is equal to square root of minus 1. Okay, now you see, I square is equal to minus 1. Similarly, when you find out minus I all square. What about minus I all square? You see, this is like minus square into I square. Minus square is plus, minus into minus plus, I square is minus 1. Okay, so minus I all square is also equal to minus 1. I am taking square root on both the sides. So square root of minus I all square is equal to square root of minus 1. Square root of minus I all square is actually equal to minus I. So minus I is equal to square root of minus 1. Okay, that is square root of minus 1 can be written as I as well as minus I. Okay, so square roots of minus 1, that is equal to I as well as minus I. So square roots of minus 1 are I and minus I. However, the simple square root of minus 1, by the simple we would mean I only. Okay, square roots of minus 1 are I and minus I. However, by the symbol square root of minus 1, we would mean I only. Now, let us consider an equation which is x square plus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, when we consider this equation x square plus 1 is equal to 0, see, we can write x square is equal to, I am taking plus 1 to this side becomes minus. Okay, then x will be equal to what? Square root of minus 1. Okay, so square root of minus 1, that is actually equal to I or minus I, both are possible. So minus I and I both are the solutions of the equation x square plus 1 is equal to 0 or x square is equal to minus 1. Similarly, if you consider square root of, I am just considering root 3I all square. Okay, see, root 3I all square can be written as root 3 square into I square. Okay, root 3 square into I square. Root 3 square is actually equal to what? Root 3 into root 3, which is 3. Okay, I square is minus 1. So this is equal to minus 3. Alright, similarly, minus root 3I all square will be equal to what? Minus square, minus into minus plus. Root 3 square is 3, I square is minus 1. So again minus 3. That is, you see, root 3I all square is equal to minus 3. Minus root 3I all square is equal to minus 3. So I am taking, you see, root 3I all square is equal to minus 3 and minus root 3I all square, that is also equal to minus 3. Suppose I am taking square root on both the sides of this equation. So when you take the square root here, the square goes and you will get root 3 I. Okay, and this will be equal to what? Square root of minus 3. Similarly, when you take the square root on both the sides, square root of minus root 3I all square will be what? Minus root 3I. This is equal to square root of minus 3. That is, square root of minus 3 can be root 3I as well as minus root 3I. Okay, the square roots of minus 3, square roots of minus 3 are root 3I as well as minus root 3I. However, by the simple square root of minus 3, it is meant to represent root 3I only. In general, if A is a positive real number, if A is a positive real number, you see, 3 is a real number, okay, minus 3 is a real number, minus 1 is a real number. Similarly, if A is a positive real number, then square root of minus A, that will be equal to square root of a into square root of minus 1. That is actually equal to square root of a into square root of minus 1. That is actually equal to I. That is root a I. Okay, so square root of, if a is a real number, positive real number, then square root of minus a will be equal to root a I. Similarly, square root of, square root of minus 3 will be equal to root 3I. Okay. Now you see, root a into root b, that can be written as square root of a into b for all real numbers a and b. This is true. That is square root of a into square root of b will be equal to square root of a into b. This is true. Okay, when either a greater than 0, b less than 0, that is a positive, b negative, or a less than 0, b greater than 0. That is a less than 0 means a negative, b greater than 0 means b is a positive number. So this square root of a into square root of b can be written as square root of a into b. This is actually true for all real numbers a and b, and this is true when either a greater than 0, b less than 0, that is positive a and negative b, or a less than 0, b greater than 0, that is negative a and positive b. See, if both a and b are negative real numbers, that is a less than 0 and b also less than 0, then can we write root a into root b as square root of ab? Is it true in this case? Let us check. See, this is true, that is root a into root b can be written as square root of a into b. This is true when either a greater than 0, b less than 0, that is positive a, negative b, or a less than 0, b greater than 0, that means negative a and positive b. But if both a and b are negative real numbers, that is both a and b are less than 0, then can we write this root a into root b as square root of ab? Can we write like this? Let us check. So to check that, let us assume this equation root a into root b is equal to root a into b. This is true for all real numbers. You see, that is both a can be positive, a can be negative as well, b can be positive, b can be negative as well, both a and b can be positive, both a and b can be negative. That is, let us just assume that this equation is true for all these conditions. A can be positive or negative, b can be positive or negative, both a and b can be positive, or both a and b can be negative. Let us assume that this equation is true for all these cases. Okay, if it is true for all these conditions, then we can write square root of minus 1 into square root of minus 1 as what? Square root of a into b, that is minus 1 into minus 1, that is square root of minus 1 into minus 1 is plus 1. Square root of 1 is actually equal to 1. Okay, if this is true, that is if this equation is true for all these conditions, that is if this equation is true for both a and b negative, then the square root of minus 1 into square root of minus 1 will be equal to 1. But actually, what about square root of minus 1 into square root of minus 1? See, square root of minus 1 is I into square root of minus 1 is I. I into I is I square. I square is actually equal to minus 1, no? So, these two results are in contradiction, right? So, what does this actually mean? See, square root of a into square root of b, this is not equal to square root of a into b if both a and b are negative real numbers. Okay, if both a and b are negative real numbers, that is both a and b are less than 0, then this equation is not true for them. We cannot apply this equation for such numbers. Okay, now you see, if any of a and b is 0, that is a 0 or b 0, any of a and b 0, then square root of a into square root of b that will be definitely equal to square root of AB is equal to 0. Okay. So in this video, we have discussed about the square roots of a negative number. I hope you got an idea about this. Thank you.